Hey, today I'm going to speak about 5 books that are very popular, highly accepted, great reviews on Kindle, Goodreads, but did not work out for me. I did not enjoy them much. The probability of you liking those books would be high um, because they are, after all, having great reviews on all these known websites. So let me know through the comment section whether you like these books or not, and if you liked it, then why you liked it. Okay, so let's go with the first book, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I'm sure a lot of you would be liking this book because it has a great review on Goodreads of 4.3 stars. It's also made to a series, and the series itself is very popular. It's a trilogy, and the trilogy is famous and being liked. But I did not like this young adult mystery crime much. So the subject or the genre of this book is mystery. However, the mystery was barely a mystery. Like everything was so terribly convenient for Pip to just find the culprit. Everything was just falling in place for her to just identify who the culprit is. There are a lot of books wherein the police fails to identify the correct person who committed the crime, and a young girl figures it out, which are believable. But this particular book, it is not plausible. There is a scene, if you've read this book, then you would know definitely, a dog tragedy. And I felt that completely out of place, and it was not blending along with this book at all. And in addition to this, if you have read the book series Pretty Little Liars, and you would feel a lot of connections between these books. And I like Pretty Little Liars much more than this book. I have reviewed the book series of Pretty Little Liars before. In case you want to check out that video, then go ahead and check it. I'll share the link in the description box. For this book, I felt the pace was completely off. I do admit that I loved the beginning of this book, The Good Girl's Murder, but midway, I just completely lost it. Yeah, with that, let's go to the second book in my list. We need to talk about Kevin by Lionel Shriver. This book has a Goodreads rating of 4, and this one was also made to a movie in 2011. Yes, this is an old book, and the movie also did well along with the book itself. The movie, in fact, got a lot of awards and got recognized very well, and even today people speak about this book, about Kevin, and yeah, the book was highly accepted. In fact, even I was intrigued to read this book highly because of the plot. Eva did not want to become a mother, and she definitely did not want to become mother of a child who killed 7 of his fellow students and a few others as well. She questioned herself that is it because of her dislike towards him that he had gone so badly out of control. Wow, what a subject. Like, I just thoroughly enjoyed the plot, and that's why I wanted to read this book. But this book was so boring. I like it when authors gives us details, like so much of details about a character or a scene, because you get to frame it very well. Like you can frame it in your mind what exactly the author wants, or at least you can frame it the way you want it depending on the details. But this book has a lot of information that it made it so boring rather than engaging. And maybe that is a major difference between the people who liked this book and me. Maybe they liked it because they had a lot of information to just blend into this book, but I felt it boring rather. Oh, and what I dislike the most in this book is the writing style. It's written in letters, as in the back cover of the book itself, it is mentioned that Eva narrates in a series of letters to her estranged husband, Franklin, her account of Kevin's upbringing. But so much of content in the form of letters was too much to take, and I personally disliked this style of writing. And speaking about climax, after reluctantly reading around 350 plus pages of this book, you reach to an open ending climax. I mean, certain people might like open-ended climax. Even I do in certain books, but not in this one, because this was quite boring. And finally, you're reaching to a stage where you don't know exactly what happened. The author kind of leaves it to you here. That I don't know how many of you would like it too. I read this book on a train actually, and I did not have any other books with me. Like I did not even take my Kindle with me. assuming and thinking that this book would be a great one to read because it had a lot of great reviews, and I was wanting to read this since a long time. So I did not carry anything else with me, any other book with me, and hence I had only this one as the option to read. So, and that was the only reason that I completed reading this book. But yeah, I did not like it. With that, let's go to the next book. The People in Platform 5 by Claire Pooley. This book has a rating of 4.5 on Goodreads, and the book cover mentions what it is about, or supposedly should have been about. No one speaks to strangers on the train. What would happen if they did? That one statement, along with the positive comments that I've heard about this book, was the reason that I picked this book up. I like the initial part of this book wherein the characters are individually set, and then lost the track completely even before the midway of this book. There are a lot of characters in this book, and the major character is Iona, and that's the particular character that I like the most. Though ideally everyone should have shared the equal significance in this book, somehow Iona is the one who just becomes a central character, and even though she is my favorite character in this book and she is the one who is there prominently in this book, I still did not like this book. Characters and the scenes both seemed very made up, as in understood that the fictions are all made up, but then they feel very much like natural occurrences, and that's why we are able to relate with the books, right? But this one felt like more forced and completely fake. The storyline is also not something special, and so are the characters. It's just very normal. And what I dislike the most in this book is you just get into one chapter trying to figure out that particular character, trying to get into that scene, and then the chapter just gets completed. You just jump into altogether different character with a different chapter, and that just breaks the flow of it. Yeah, that's why I mainly dislike this book. With that, let's go to the next book. The Black Widow by Daniel Silva. This book has a rating of 4.3 on Goodreads, and this one is a spy secret intelligence service related one. Very boring. As you can see, this book is a very big one, 500 plus pages, and it could have easily been brought down to a few pages. Let me clearly mention that I did not dislike this book because of any political stance. It's just that it was so boring. I felt it so boring, and that's the only reason why I disliked this book. If you like politics and spy related stuff, then maybe you would enjoy reading this book. What I felt about this book: flat characters, unable to create suspense as such, predictable plots, uneventful for me. As a person from India, I was unable to connect to this book, but if you are from France, Jordan, Israel, or US, you might be able to connect to this book more. It was not my cup of tea, but you might end up liking it if you like spy related books and if you're part of any of these regions that I mentioned. And you would enjoy this book if you are an avid reader, along with what I mentioned before, because this book is definitely not for beginners. It's kind of difficult to read. With that, let's go to the last book in my list. And the Mountains Echoed by Khalid Hosseini. This is the only book that I dislike of Khalid Hosseini. Otherwise, I'm a great fan of his books, his writing. I love every other books of his. So this one book is about separation of two siblings, multi-generational short stories connected together with a lot of characters, but I only like three characters in this book. In fact, I liked this book only when these three characters were there: Pari, her brother Abdullah, and their father. Rest all characters, I couldn't connect with them at all. What I felt the major problem in this book is that the narrator in each chapter is a different person. It's not the same person, and maybe the author wrote it deliberately like that, like in this particular style of different people narrating different chapters, so that we get perspectives from different people, which is great idea, but then it did not work for me because I felt the flow of this book was completely gone. Like, you're just not able to get into this book completely because it's just getting to another person. By the time you just get into one character, you're just hearing from someone else in the next chapter, so that just kills the entire book. That's what I felt about this book, and that's the reason why I disliked it. So these are the 5 popular books which I'm sure at least out of all these 5 books, you might have liked at least one. But yeah, I could not personally connect with them, and that doesn't definitely mean that you would have not liked it or you would not like it. So share in the comment section what you felt about these books if you've read them already. With that, this is me, Nivea, signing off. Keep reading a lot of books. Happy reading. Bye.